Runner's Roost in Orchard Park, and now with a new location on Transit in East Amherst, has become one of a handful of business brands in Western New York that far exceeds their demographic and specific industry. The brand has become synonymous with Western New York in the same way Mighty Taco, Bert's Bikes, Ted's, and so many others have become. It's been around for decades, and the goodwill the shop and its owners have spread throughout the community for so many years is in fact why I think the store and the brand have managed to make such an important impact. I sat down with the owner, Rob, early one morning in the back room of the Orchard Park location as the employees were starting to come in for their shifts for the morning to talk about all things Runner's Roost, life, business, and Western New York.
Oh, Runner's Roost actually, when running started becoming popular in the 70s, that's where the inception started. The founder, Joe Freeman, from what I've been taken down through the course of time, stories passed on, that he was from New York City, and his favorite restaurant is called the Chicken Roost, and he decided to move to Buffalo and open a running store, Runner's Roost, and that's where the name came from. In 1978, our first store was on Hurdle Avenue, Buffalo.
Wow.
And then 79, Dave Borodzik opened up, or started working for him, I believe.
Okay.
And then Joe allowed Dave to open up his own shop. I think Dave maybe was like 19, 20 years old.
Right.
And opened up a store on Abbott Road.
No kidding. So they had two, the Hurdle and the Abbott location.
Yes.
Now I remember the Abbott location.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in '68, so
Okay.
that would have happened when I was younger.
Yes.
I remember that. So how long was that Abbott Road location there?
I don't have a definitive time. I have to ask Dave. Like one of these days, I'm gonna have
I know we bought shoes there.
Yeah.
We bought sneakers there for sure. I mean, that's where everybody kind of is around the South Buffalo Abbott Road area.
Yeah.
So
I have to actually ask him. I'm gonna write everything down because a lot of different stories, and
man.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's neat history for where we come from. So, but Michelle and I, Michelle's worked for Dave for, not to get off topic too much, but basically the intro here is Michelle and I took over as owners in 2017. She worked for Dave.
Okay.
For roughly 10 years.
Oh, she did. So was she management?
Yeah. She started working the sales floor, just
worked her way
and
up.
then graduated from University of Buffalo, coached at Niagara. I was looking for something, get back, into running. So she grew up in Orchard Park and was like, guys, Dave, come work here. And he hired him, or hired her. So then, of course, of time, here we are.
Wow.
But going back to, Abbott Road. So I think it was not like a franchise fee or anything. It was more of like, let's share the cost of phone phone book. And
that was common back then.
Yes.
It was such a cool way to do business. My father did that with some of our restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
It was more because we had 5 at one point.
Yeah.
And I liked that. It was almost what you're saying about King. Like some of it was just a handshake. You're like, all right, you want to have this? All right, well, let's work out some type of casual agreement. And a lot of businesses grew that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically what happened. It's like, it's your own money, it's your own inventory.
Yeah.
We'll share this, share the name, and we'll work together.
Yeah. Maybe, right, you can buy some of the stuff.
Yeah. So that's where that started. And then in 1983, I believe the story goes, Walt Lyons at the time was coach out in East Aurora and was telling Dave, come out, open a store in East Aurora, we'll back you. The teams will back you.
So like
runners.
A coach at the high school.
And the realtor never showed up for their appointment, the place he was going to look at. So on the way back home, he was coming to the Village of Orchard Park, and where we are now, in Orchard Park, was being boarded up with a for rent sign.
Yeah, we were all going through it at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
So Dave stopped in and our handshake deal agreement.
Did he get it? Probably got it for a song too at that point.
I would assume, yeah. But then we've been here since.
Wow. So it just was like, and that's what I was saying about the synchronicity and the synergy in business. Sometimes that's what happens to everyone. You can only do so much. The world has to kind of work with you to conspire to help your business.
Luck plays a part.
It does. And that type of thing, though, I've seen that time and time again on my old show when I was doing my business profiles. I would hear that same type of story where somebody's like, I literally just pulled up. I wasn't even interested in owning a business, and I saw this shop, and one thing led to another, and they ended up buying the building or going into the shop, not even having an idea, but they fell into a business. Sometimes it's just the synergy of that would happen.
And that's kind of how that's an American dream for us. I mean, to be able to take over a business that's been around for a long time, just working the sales floor, and then here we are now, owners. So,
but you guys have curated it to another level.
To some degree, yeah. We brought in some stuff. I mean, Dave had UGG, before, but he caught it in the early 2000s, was able to open the accounts.
Right.
Keen, there's different things, but it's always trying to stay on top of like what the market people like.
And that's the challenge, right?
It is.
It's like trying to make sure, because you can't invest so much money, if you're unsure of a piece of stock, unless
Correct.
you can recoup some of that.
Mhm.
So it's a balance, man. The retail's tough.
It is.
Because it's your money, it's your inventory, and you're the one that's going to take the loss if
Yes,
you
it
make that
doesn't
decision.
sell.
That's
Yes.
So that's the intuition, though, I think that a lot of business owners in retail have, that I think sometimes they don't appreciate themselves enough to know that, wow, somehow you have this ability to read the market and know and see trends before they happen, because that's really capitalize on that and get a piece of stock in prior to anybody else having it. Then it's just going to improve your bottom line.
I'm often think about current, times. It's a lot easier almost with social media to see what's trending,
Sure.
not just to kind of.
Well, yeah, because you had to throw a dart at a board.
Yeah.
Before.
Yes.
Your gut was like all it was.
Now you see what people are wearing, to
Sure,
colors
right.
and kind of where it's going, and even different, just to look at different demographics. I mean, it's just different. You want to try to, you know, you have to have a little bit of everything for everyone. So
Sure.
colors are played. Don't like this color. I don't like the material with. So
well, and that's
it's
been
hard.
the expectation of customers too. That's where the internet, I think, has changed a lot for everyone, because now it's tough for small business because you have to, even like restaurants. Some of my friends own restaurants, and it's the toughest thing for them too, because they have to diversify their menu to the point where they're like, this is really stretching us. But customers come in with that demand now. They want the selection.
Yeah,
because
selection.
They can find it online.
Find it online. So that's something like with our top SKUs, like brands like Brooks and Hoka, get a model, they make 10 colors.
Right.
It's a top selling model.
So for you, that's
so
really?
it's like, okay. And then we
Right.
move enough of them. So we're always trying to have 3-4 models continuously coming in. The colors.
Selection.
Yeah. So it's important. And then having our second location in Amherst really helps with that now too, because we can take a couple colors we don't carry here, put them over there, and then if somebody's looking for a color book, well, we can have it over here in a day or two. So it's like,
that's super.
Yeah, so it helps keep
I
it.
didn't even think about that. Right.
People want to often support local, but they don't want to drive local, meaning, 30 minutes local, but it's too far of a drive. Got a busy life. You have to pick up the kids.
Sure.
They've got schoolwork or soccer or track practice. So it's important, I think, to us to try to manage it that way.
Right. Well, the coalescence of the phone, the web technology has really done that to everybody, because our lives have accelerated, and then you get these, you're just like, I press this button on my phone, it shows up on the day. But a sneaker, or an article of clothing is a completely different purchase, I think, still. I mean, it's still
you want
to try
You want to try it on, you want to see how it fits, you want to feel it,
Right.
fabric, is it going to irritate you, is there something with the stitching or the tongue of the shoe?
Sure. And we were talking about, so you have your foot measuring device too, which I think is fantastic, and I've never seen it. So somebody can come in here, they get their leg kind of scanned, right, up to their.
So traditionally, we're still a store, a niche where we measure people, we analyze their gait, we want to see what type of footwear they should be in. It's not just about color and this model. It's some have different forms of support or additional arch support, or a fit might be different. That's kind of where we try to perfect that, with our knowledge.
Sure.
So traditionally, we would measure with a stick, watch your gait, look for certain things. But now, innovation is always important. Trying to stay ahead of, or on top of what's trending, or the direction of a business is going. So we do have a scanner that you're mentioning. It takes 12 different data points, 360 image of your ankles down. So we're getting arch height, we're getting length, we're getting instep height. The different data points is important to us to kind of tell us what shoe might work.
Right.
Along with a dynamic pressure plate, where we can see where the arches are landing, the pressure points in your foot. So if you're putting a lot of pressure on your heel, your toe, you can kind of also see maybe somebody has, they might talk about how my toe has a little bit of arthritis. You might see this sometimes because the toe is not lifting up right. You can see if the pressure being pushed.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal for a lot of people. I mean, we were talking about my brother-in-law, who has he's been on his feet for 30 years. So anybody that's working on their feet, you always have problems, and you're just going to. That's inherent in just standing for 30 years. and working like that. And so if you combine that with running, it's really important to get the proper
Mhm.
fitting shoe, sneaker, and people don't really realize, especially I think our generation. I think younger generations are more aware, but our generation sometimes, we're just like, oh, whatever, just
Yeah.
put it on your foot,
Yep.
because we were raised with parents like that, that just
Correct.
you were just like, get out there, do whatever you got to
Yeah.
do, and just suck it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, look what it's done to everyone at the same time, because we were unaware of how to get a proper fitting shoe
Yes.
for a long time.
So we'll see often like customers that might be a little bit older with foot issues because of that. Like, well,
yeah, it's just
I had to wear this. We're growing up, and you got maybe a hand down from your brothers, or didn't fit right, or just so.
And nothing against Chucks, against Chucks, but we all grew up with Chucks. And those are the worst.
Yeah, not great for your feet.
They're horrible. They look awesome, but they're horrible for your feet.
Yes.
But a lot of people grew up with those, or we would go to like a big discount department store, and my parents would buy the cheapest shoe, sneaker that, we'd wear that all summer. And at one point, I think I told you when I met you, I had shin splints and I had spurs, heel spurs and shin splints, because I played hockey, played football, I played soccer. And so I was on my feet all day running. I was working at my parents' place. I was in bands. And so from 7 in the morning till probably 11 o'clock at night, I sat in school, and that was it, if I sat at all. So you're on your feet all day. And then after 6, 7 years of that, I'm going to the doctor. So I'm like, my calves are hurting, my heels hurting. And it was from ill-fitting shoes.
Ill-fitting shoes, not properly footwear. So, our feet are your wheels. I mean, you want to keep them in good shape to get around. So,
sure.
I mean, if you're not taking care of your feet, legs and back, and so talking about being on your feet for a long period of time, and we do a lot of service industry, whether it's nurses or waitresses, or just under, doctors. You're on your feet 10, 12 hours a shift. So having a good footwear too often translates. The running shoes is usually the most cushioned, supportive shoe, better than a walking shoe. So that's where a lot of our customers may not even be runners, are coming in for good footwear.
It's just more that. It's just the fact that it's the same application. It's the same need that's being met, though.
Yes.
But when you guys first started, so when you got involved in the business, was it just primarily running shoes? Like a lot of this orthopedic stuff you weren't carrying?
We've done some. I mean, it's always been kind of went hand in hand, like orthopedic, because we do a lot of doctor's referrals with podiatrists.
Oh, you do?
For insoles. They might have a foot problem. They might send them over.
Right. So, in relation to that machine, though, that's a custom insole that you can make.
Yes, it can make, the volumetric scanner, pressure plate, dynamic pressure plate can make custom 3D printed orthotics personalized to each foot. So, over-the-counter insole, sometimes it's just over-the-counter. But if you have one foot a little bit different than the other, or how the arch hits, there's a gap there you want to fill. So that's...
And there is, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's like we both wear glasses, right? So I have astigmatism in one eye, right? So if I went to the doctor or the eye doctor and they gave me the same lens, I would be blind. Yeah, be running into things. So it's the same thing for your feet,
correct?
Too,
it's
right?
a good analogy, yes.
Yeah, there's actually individual traits that develop over time that you need to address, or it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and there's not really any part of symmetrical on a person's body. So often people are made, like one foot could be half to a full size bigger than the other foot. But that's part of like...
You don't think about that.
No, you don't.
From our perspective, this is what I mean. Like we just grew up where you just go, they'd slap the metal, the plate, and they would gauge your feet, and they'd run them back and get you a thing. And as long as you were semi-comfortable, you take them. But you'd have blisters for 3 weeks. You weren't walking right, and you couldn't complain about it because you get screamed at.
Mom's not taking them back.
You're stuck with it. So that's where I think we were talking about the synergy. That's where your business, because I think runner shoes, specialized retail, when we were younger, was not really a thing. But for some reason, it became a thing because we all need, especially for running, whether it's our eyes, our feet, anything that has to do with like engaging our bodies in an activity has become kind of a specialized industry.
Yes. I mean, probably, going back when we were younger, we would go to a shoe store, a family shoe store, and they would still measure you and try to fit you like you mentioned.
Sure.
Most places don't do that anymore. You go to a sporting goods store.
They don't do it at all.
They're just going to bring it out. Like, what size are you? Okay, try this on. What do you think? Like, picking by color off the wall, how it looks.
Right.
No, we fit you. We bring you 3 or 4 top models that we think might work for you, and we walk you through the process of how it should feel.
Right.
So that's where service kind of, as other service companies kind of lost their way. I think it's something we stuck with and only grew it. for a better experience for customers.
Right, and your reputation is awesome. I mean, locally, and I don't know. I mean, you're living in your fishbowl here because you are running this business. But on the exterior, from somebody like my perspective, like a layman's perspective, I mean, Runner's Roost is synonymous with Orchard Park. It's synonymous with running. It's synonymous with Western New York. You built one of those brands that, when you think of Western New York, in the hierarchy of brands here, you're one of those brands now. And I don't know if maybe you guys can even see it because you're working here. You don't. You know what I mean? Your perspective.
I would agree. I mean, our perspective is a day-to-day routine of like keeping product flow, keeping customers happy, developing good employees, making sure, and it's one, that's something, and that's something we haven't talked about. It's not ourselves as owners or anything that's made the brand. It's our employees. Right. I mean, retention for a part-time job. I mean, a lot of them out there semi-retired, they teach, they coach, college runner. I mean, there's a whole different set of demographic where they come from, what they do, but the combined experience of running or walking they have over the course of time is hundreds of years probably if you put them all together.
Right. And training them too. That's the other thing. You have to get somebody who's interested in it. They're able to be trained and flexible enough to work in a retail environment. That type of thing. So just as even from a managerial perspective, like it's employee retention and getting the right employee for the job. If you have a staff that's wrong, it's going to really do damage to your business. So and that's one thing too. Like, you can tell when you come in, like everybody knows what they're doing. They love their job. They're happy to be here. They know what they're talking about. And that makes all the difference with your business too. So,
yes. Customer service is our number one priority. Walk through the door, greet it. I mean, if you don't have a great experience in a retail store these days, it doesn't bode well. I mean, never did for any business to begin with, but now it's important.
It's a big deal now.
Google reviews and Facebook reviews. I mean, we don't get to take those back. Someone gives you a bad review. We can comment, try to, but so it's important.
You can try to alleviate but the damage, do some control on it, but you're like stuck in a position when somebody, and that's the worst part, I think, about the anonymity sometimes of these reviews, because you don't know if somebody just got unfair beef or and so it really makes retailers and all owners of businesses be extra careful now, which is, in the end, I think we all win for that too. It makes a better shopping environment.
It does for everyone, so it's a good,
and it keeps your employees, I think, it's almost like self-policing now at this point, because they never know who that person is or what their proclivity is for leaving reviews. And maybe they're one of those people that tends to do that.
And I think that over the last couple of years, it's been a challenge for everybody, coming out of COVID and et cetera. It's just people are grumpy sometimes, the consumer, and it's just, you have to really be careful. And it's easy. Someone had a bad experience and then go on and write a bad review. Forget about it. They forget about it.
They forget about it. And you're stuck carrying that around.
Instead of just coming to a manager or saying, hey, or call.
Which
we try to make you happy. What can we do to remedy this? So you're happy, we're happy that you're happy. Things. So sometimes, so it's a very, very fine line you have to walk and just stay on top.
Yeah, so, I've been there. But your employees are. I mean, you wouldn't have a great business like this without great employees. I mean, it just speaks for itself, really. And I think that's probably one of your biggest challenges as running this whole operation is trying to get the right people continually.
Yes.
But so in a specialized retail environment, though, they seek you out more than not, correct?
Often, yeah.
Because they're into running, they're into hiking. This is a lifestyle that they've already, or they maybe are a great customer too.
It's one thing we've been fortunate. It's not new news to anyone, but there's been employee shortages. Hard to retain, et cetera. It's something that we've been fortunate enough. I mean, there's times where we have our tough times to fill a schedule, whether kids are coming back from college or in between are going, their teachers are going to be off for summer. But for the most part, people who run or they're in the community or a customer.
Right. Now, let's quickly talk about your second location. So you opened that up a few months ago, right?
Actually, June 21st of 2021 is when we opened.
Which is amazing, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We're coming out of a pandemic, and we're still kind of in it still, and you opened up a second location. I mean, that's, for the retail landscape, that's a rarity.
Yes. When Michelle And I took this business over in 2017 as part of Michelle's business plan. 3 to 5 years. We were looking to have a Northtown location.
Wow. And you hit it.
Yes. So what kind of happened was we got into pandemic, or like, the world, the sky's falling, the world's falling apart. Like, are we going to make it? And then, thankfully, with the PPP programs to help businesses keep going, I think that businesses that stayed in tune in front of it and kept relevant did well. And we were also in an industry where gyms were closed, you couldn't do anything. So for being active and fit, people picked up walking and running. So it did help us in that regard too.
Sure.
People were buying footwear as much as they could anywhere. And then some people didn't know where to buy their footwear. They wouldn't come here. They would get the wrong footwear and end up with an injury. And they go to the doctor, and the doctor. So there's a whole cycle, I think, that helped us there with like some of our businesses not doing so well, which is very unfortunate. It also opened up availability for locations. Landlords are looking to get tenants. Making deals.
Businesses were shutting down left, right, and center.
So like March of 2021, I just was like, I think this is it. Like, we have to make this move now. And then took some, talking to my wife Michelle. She was kind of took a step back at the time, just with the kids and the pandemic and homeschooling.
It's a lot.
And being a mom is important. They probably need mom more than dad at the age of their life. Our kids are 10, 8, and 5, and we'll take 2 years off. That's what's kind of their age. So it was a lot. So daycares were closed. So it's like, but yeah, we saw like this is opportunity. We found a nice location, like great landlords, local people, so it just kind of worked out. And then started looking at different accounts. Like, we can, be a good spot for you.
But that was the intention to kind of get up north. So you've got most of the Metro Buffalo area covered at this point with these two locations. You're really doing service to
all of the Western New York's a great community. So it's like but for us, we want to be far enough north to Park where it wouldn't cut into our existing business. We do have people that drive from Lockport and other part of North towns that come here just because of the service, et cetera. But now we've also become busy enough with the size we are. It's like hard to service people that it gets too busy sometimes. So it was like we're like, well, it would be okay if few customers went to the Northtown store.
Sure.
And we can grow up there. There wasn't a store like us. Within 30, 40 minutes. So.
Well, and that's the thing with Western New York. You're the 20, 30 minutes from anywhere. So if you can get yourself up into a 20, 30 minute circumference, then I think that's a proper locale for you.
So going back to the wanting to shop local but not drive local. So
now you've got that covered. For Buffalo. And that's the thing. Like, you're one of those. If it would be interesting to do, even like, if you could somehow survey this, when you think of running shoes and you think of this type of product, I can almost guarantee you that 8 out of 10 Western New Yorkers would think of you. And that was due to the longevity of the business, your ability to run it, to scale it, and to keep it in the public consciousness. Like, you've really done a great job of staying out there and keeping yourself visible. You know what I mean? And I think it naturally distills when you do that for a long period of time. It just distills into the public consciousness, like what you are, where you are, and what type of business you have. And I think Runner's Roost has done that. And it's one of those rare Western New York businesses that managed to cut through the noise to become this like staple icon of your industry here,
Been fortunate. Like I said, there's luck involved too.
Well, that's the same thing with the location up there, or even something as terrible as the pandemic. What was the need? Well, the need was I still need to walk, I still need to exercise, but I can't go to my gym. Everything's shut down. I'm supposed to social distance, and my shoes suck. So I need new sneakers, and they come to you. So you've got this like great.
So that's why I felt the window of opportunity last year was so important. So
you have to do it.
Yeah. So I'm like, we're getting into spring, summer. I'm like, everything's going well. Like, let's do this like now. So I said that, with events being canceled still, like right now we're gearing up for the 2022 Buffalo Marathon Expo, which is awesome. It's back. The running's back. Races are back.
Huge.
But at the time, the track and field, like cross country, all these, they were struggling, shortened windows or no season at all, depending on where it fell. So, I think we had the time to set up a second store and we're not doing all these other events. So
yeah,
it's like,
isn't that funny though?
Yeah,
Because of this, like almost like a detriment, it
Mhm.
opened up this window for
Yes.
you in a bunch of ways because you
Mhm.
had the time, you had the opportunity.
Yes.
You could actually get out there and do that, dedicate that time. Because
Yeah.
you're right, because you guys do so much for the community of Western
Mhm.
New York, and you are so active that takes an inordinate amount of time for you. I'm
It does.
sure
And we wouldn't be able to do it again without the core employees we have.
Sure.
Like to be able to leave here,
to trust. Yeah,
make things that we run properly.
sure.
Um, been a team effort. Like there's people sometimes that work for us for years that go up there and help cover.
Sure.
So there's been some of that back and forth.
And isn't
the
it
encouragement,
awesome?
the
Yeah.
encouragement to have the conversation. No, the great opportunity. We should really try it. We're here for this. So
And
to
then
have
you get
that,
excited
it's like a
about it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a family. Like it's
Sure.
we're work together.
Well, it's a small, locally owned
yes,
business. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it's like
What we think of.
yeah, and you could tell, like I said, when you walk in, you could tell the interest level of the employees and the engagement that they have. Like even with me, when I first walked in, like I think the two people that were on the floor came right up to me, talked to me. That's for me. A lot of times I just get overlooked because they see I have a flyer in my hand.
Yes.
And they're like, oh crap.
Yes,
Here we go.
sometimes, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you do have to.
You're like,
It
"Here's the
does
door."
happen. I mean, we see him like, oh,
Right.
and that's part of it. Like, small business. You talk about what they give back to the community. I mean, I couldn't tell you. There's probably 3 or 4 people a day where there's a phone call
I know.
or a flyer looking
It's
for a
lot,
donation,
right?
and we do as much as we can. I mean,
Right.
I mean, we're still in business. They, keep a business.
Sure,
There's revenues that keep flowing and inventory you carry. So it's like hard sometimes to just like, hey, can you, write a check for $300? But we do as much as we can do. Like the kids team, like we do, rec department for Park, we sponsor them. It's just, but if you look at it cumulatively, what it adds up to be, I don't even know. But it's just, you look at it like, okay, we can do that business good this week. Help out with.
I mean, well, listen, I was in the hospital this past summer actually, and my brother-in-law at Imperial Pizza helps Mercy Hospital.
Yeah,
a lot. He does a lot for them, and he doesn't ask for anything. He just does it because he cares, and they're a huge look, and they give him a lot of business, of course. But I mean, that's your nurses, that's your front line, right?
Yes.
So he took care of them. Literally, in the course of a conversation with one nurse, once, we were talking about our families, like hooking me up to a machine or whatnot, and I mentioned my brother-in-law. Everything changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the type of goodwill that is propagated from you into the community. I mean, it's not just, you don't do it just because you're in business. You do it because you live here, you work here, you care about the place, and it all is reciprocated back to you in some way or form. Or like with me, that was my brother-in-law, or like an employee. Oh, you work at Runner's Roost, and then it changes the dynamic of that relationship.
It does. And small town USA, Buffalo has a lot of that, and that's kind of what the show's about.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And
we're
I'm sure you know somebody I know, or my uncle, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just in Richmond, Virginia, my family and I, for a NASCAR race a couple weeks ago, and set up our camper, put the Bills flag up.
Well, that's like a beacon.
Yeah.
It's like a homing beacon, like a bat signal.
It was. A sheriff comes over on his cart. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" We're good. He goes, "You guys aren't going to be jumping through any tables over here." So like, no, he's get to talking. He's actually from Depew, New York.
See?
Moved down in 1994 after, out of high school. Was recruited, by a guy who's from the area, West New York. And all these sheriffs down there are a bunch of them from West New York. They moved down to Virginia. Yeah. So another kid I run into in the parking lot, he was off duty. Saw my Bills hat. Hey, how's it going? Talking. He also worked. And he's from Lancaster. So it's like there's a whole.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I was out in California in the Sierra Nevadas working doing the same type of thing, and the people that I would run into from Western Europe, it's crazy. It's this the commonality and the bond that we have here, because I think as a population we've been through so much. Yeah. And I think that's just like we've kind of almost got like I forget the syndrome, but it's like a Stockholm syndrome almost. Do you know what I mean? Like we love Western New York, but it was very hard here for a long time. It's gotten a lot better, and I think that just the bond that we have. The shirts that Identity down the street, the little boutique, she came out as a sponsor too, and she has these shirts of Buffalo versus everybody.
Yes, and that's exactly the mentality.
Totally what it is. So when you're out in the middle of nowhere and somebody sees a Bills hat, you instantly bond with them.
We're a town where it's like we get upset if a national newscast makes fun of Buffalo about the snow or somebody. Yeah. But when the snow comes, we're also like, yeah, look at all the snow we got. Like, it's like, we're not totally satisfied either way, but we're happy both ways.
It's
like,
true,
don't get upset. And it's like, so.
Yeah.
And, you know, great place to live. I mean, I've been in Buffalo area my whole life, you know.
Yeah, you were born and raised in Orchard Park?
Lancaster. My wife's from Orchard Park. So, yeah, we've been here our whole life. And as much I've been traveled, like to Florida here, there, great place to visit.
Right.
Home. Like
same with me, man. Everybody comes back.
Come back, yeah. So it's
you're just
hard.
Like, you miss it. I think you're hardwired for the seasons. You're hardwired for the people and the culture that we have here. And that's what I'm trying to do with the show. Is I'm trying to change. I love the Bills. We love chicken wings. We love all the stuff that we're known for nationally, even snow. But we're a lot more than those things.
And you mentioned Imperial Pizza. How many pizzerias are in town? That everyone's different and all great.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's hard to get a bad pizza here. It's hard to get bad food here.
Yep. And it's almost like its own style pizza, like the Buffalo style.
Yeah.
And some of it.
And and I bet you in our lifetime that's going to be coined at some point.
It could be.
It's a very different. It's not a New York style. It's not a Chicago. It's its own. The crust is a little thicker.
We eat a lot of pizza here. So runners, these guys, carb loads. Nights run group. Thursday nights we'll run group in Orchard Park. It's a social group, so these guys will get 20, 30 runners come out, run 3-5 miles, hang out, some BYOB in the parking lot or
perfect food
or whatever. Right? And we usually, if the store, you talk about the community, we buy a couple pizzas for them. Come up, thank you.
Nice.
So it's kind of a nice group thing, hang out, and a group of friends, everyone becomes friends.
Is there anything you want to add about the store up in Amherst at all?
It's new to us. It's been going very well. The community. The North Towns have accepted very well. Clarence, Amherst, Williamsville. I don't want to leave any towns out, but those are just like that's right there, like Lancaster.
Right. But don't you think the college is going to help you up there too?
College,
because there's a lot of active.
Yes, like Damon's close. UB's not far, but we're still relatively new. Like there's a lot of runners in the community that still are just realizing they're the runners' Roost in the North Town. So it's going to take a while. It's organic. I mean, a lot of what we've done over the course of time has probably been organic. Like, customer comes to the store, you have a good experience, you'll tell 1 or 2 people. Going back to a bad experience, have a bad experience, they'll probably tell 10 people.
Well, that's what it is.
That's how. So it's like, it's going to take some time, but it's already been going very well.
Well, that's about it for this episode of the Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember to support the small towns of Western New York in any way you can. They're full of great businesses and people who would love to see you in their towns. The Small Town Western New York Companion Podcast, the TV series, is a presentation of Discovering Western New York and A.A. Augustine Media Co. and can be found everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening.